It does seem that everything these days has to have an X about it. X-Men, Triple X, ex-wives, and E.T. Well, he is an extraterrestrial. Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. This week is the Remington Spirit X, and I must admit to immediately taking a liking to the look. This is, before anyone leaves a comment, an evolution of the P35, but now bearing the Remington name. Let's take a closer look, shall we? The first thing you notice is this compact little bullpup is dressed in some rather nice and well finished off beech, which gives it a much warmer feel to it rather than the more tactical black normally evident in this type of PCP. It is around 750mm or 29.5 inches long and tips the scales unscoped at 2.95 kilograms, which is a pretty anorexic 6 pounds 8 ounces. Naturally, you're going to need to put a scope on this, and the top rail is a Weaver Picatinny, so you're perfectly covered. From the front then, the 530mm CN barrel is shrouded, and this is an actively working shroud with baffles in the end also, making this pretty quiet, but it also has a standard 1/2-inch UNF thread on the end to give you the option to fit a silencer of your choice. If you add a reasonable silencer, you will then seriously reduce the volume to a really low level. One interesting fact is that in use, this does exhaust, as it were, from the base of the shroud, and this air can be felt when shooting the rifle. Not a problem, just an observation and proof of this being an active shroud and not just for show. Below this barrel is the 280cc capacity air cylinder. That figure does include a 65cc in the new designed plenum of this regulated bullpup. The maximum working pressure is 250 bar. However, the manufacturers recommend you fill to a maximum of 240 bar, presumably to be on the safe side. On the end of this cylinder is the oversized Remington label colour-coded manometer or pressure gauge, and this is very easy to read. As always, not the ideal position, but fitted here in order to keep the manufacturing costs down. These are in exactly the same place on a lot of more expensive guns, such as Virox, for example. This has a shrouded and sprung-loaded cover that needs pushing forward to reveal the filler port to be filled with the included male Foster filling probe. All in all, a nice, efficient and well-designed system. Moving further down the metalwork, as it were, we come to that top rail for your scope. A scope is actually included in the box, but at best I would call it a starter scope. And for the testing, to give the gun the best possible chance, I will be fitting a Vector Optics Veyron. Below this top rail is the switchable side lever. That is really quite a usable lever that could probably benefit from just a little TLC, but is more than usable and as good as some more expensive bullpups I've used in the past. Now, just behind this, you can clearly see that enlarged plenum area, which has its fixed regulator on board, which is under the real wood cheek rest. This being beech and real wood takes the chill off from your cheek whilst you're shooting. This again bears the Remington logo, indicating that it's made under the Remington license. This cheek rest also houses the magazine, which in this 177 caliber is an 11 round magazine, and in the 22 caliber version is a 9 round magazine. Loading these magazines is a case of turning the clear front anti-clockwise and loading the first pellet in backwards, or skirt first. Then turn the magazine back over and load the remaining pellets in head first in the available slots. Keep turning and doing this until they're all 11, in this case, are full. Once you've done that, lock it back into place. It's then ready to go straight into the rear of the gun. Push forward, you're ready and you're loaded. This is a lock open after last shot magazine, which I really like, to prevent you from dry firing, or more importantly, missing that all important shot when you think you've still got one left. Below this is that wooden stock, which I do rather like, and is well made and no sharp edges to be found anywhere. There is stippling to the forestock and grip area. I would have loved to have seen the butt pad being adjustable, but that would of course increase the price of this not overly expensive bullpup. The trigger is adjustable from 1 to 6 pound pull weight and is naturally a two-stage item. The safety is a trigger lock type and is push from left to right for safe and right to left for fire. When in safe, it completely locks the trigger. Now this comes straight out of the box, supplied by the manufacturer at around 10.4 foot-pounds, which I thought was a little low for a sub-12 gun. I consider 10% acceptable, though not particularly desirable. So, talking to Vector here, the ones being sold by Vector have all been orange modded, and this is the one I took to the chronograph to test it. With standard 8.44 grain H&N Barracuda 8s on board, it saw 786 feet per second, which is 11.58 foot-pounds, or 15.7 joules, which brings this up to more of a pest control power level. And I have noticed quite a difference in the target work as well, which brings me rather nicely to the range work. This does come supplied, as I've said, with a 3 to 9 starter scope, which really is a very basic starter scope and is enough to get you out shooting. But this level of gun would really benefit from a better quality scope, and I've fitted a veer onto this to make the whole experience better and give me and the gun more chance. As always then, out at 40 metres. The Remington Spirit X. I don't know what the X bit is, whether it's extra special or extreme, whatever. This is a really nice gun. When I first looked at it, I took an instant like to the shape, the look of it, and everything really about it. I do really quite like it. The next thing was the power. We looked at it and the power output was a little low, and they're all coming out of the factory from the manufacturer, supplier, whatever. They're all coming out low 10s, which we just think wasn't enough. So Vector have orange modded them, and they've got them up to around 11.5, 11.6, which gives you a little leeway just in case you're starting to use a heavier pellet. So straight away we started working on this. From there, I've spent more time with this gun than I do most, to be absolutely fair, because it wasn't shooting particularly accurately, and it's a shame because we like it. And from there I went through fairly extensive pellet testing. Now most people know I put one magazine through and zero the scope, and the second magazine is the one that is filmed, and that's it. You live or die by that, and the manufacturer has to accept that. In this case, I don't know why, probably just because I love the look at it and I like the feel, and it's very lightweight and it's easy, you know, it's quite chuckable about. I do like this gun, and most people who actually pick it up go, oh, I like that. It is a P35 essentially, with a different body, a different plenum, etc. into it. But we decided then, I'll go through some more pellet testing. I got through loads of different pellets, and we found out that it seems to prefer H&Ns. Tried QISs, JSBs, you name it, we pretty much tried it. It seems to like H&Ns. It settled on the Barracuda 8s, and we were getting the best results. So now we'll try filming it. I did, incidentally, which again is something I don't normally do, I extensively cleaned the barrel. Now, I've heard a lot of people say you get a lot of muck out of the Chinese guns, because essentially this is a Chinese gun. nicely made, and they've really stepped the game up. So we thought, let's go for it. Yeah, quite a lot of muck came out of it. But then really what it needs, and we have found, the more you shoot it, the more lead you put into the barrel, it starts to then bring it down and down and down. So I think we've done enough work on this. Now it's time for it to live or die, as it were, because this magazine is the one that's going to be the decider. So here we go, 40 metres, sorry, aircraft coming over. It's a Sunday actually, so all the boys are out there playing in their expensive toys. 11 round magazine on this 177. That's it. Lock open after the last shot, which is a really nice one. And we'll just get rid of that. Okay, let's go and get it and see what it looks like, shall we? The grouping is mostly there. The last shot was my fault. I pulled that one. But you're getting a decent group. I think with more leading in and spending a little more time with this, I think that could be brought in neater and tidier. I think it's got real capabilities. I think it's got real possibilities and probabilities, if you like. We'll put all the abilities to it. I just think it has, and it feels so nice to use. It's just a case of getting comfortable with it, in my opinion. I like it. I do like the construction. I like the build. I like the fact that it's consistent as far as the power levels are concerned. Even though the regulator on board is a fixed regulator, it's not adjustable. It's still very, very nice. I wouldn't use the scope that came with it because, to be honest, I've seen some starter scopes, and there's starter scopes, and that is very much just a starter scope, if you know what I mean. So I would upgrade and put a Veyron scope on it or something of the like, which is nice and short. I know it makes it more expensive, but I think it's worth it, and you get a much, much better scope and package is probably the word I'm looking for altogether. I like it. It has taken quite a lot of work, and if you want the one that is the most accurate, then you're going to need the 11.5, 11.6 foot-pound one, which is the orange mod one from Vector Air. Other than that, it seems to be a little bit erratic, and definitely get yourself some cleaning rods or a pull-through and give it a good old clean beforehand. Other than that, what's not to like about it? It is a pretty, pretty little gun. I have, by the way, been using the new Apollo rest, because people have a go at me at all sorts. You should be shooting off a bag, you should be shooting off whatever. This is a combination of bag and very, very adjustable mounted metal rest. I do like it. It's very comfortable. You'll probably see it more often. It's not quite as lightweight and transportable as the Rockstad, which I use most of the time, and I do like the Rockstad. That's 30 quid. This one comes in at about 65, but it is very, very adjustable. It's a different beast altogether. So yeah, you'll probably see that come in a little bit more often. But back to the gun, I like it. It just needs a bit of TLC to get the very best out of it. So that's enough from the range. Back to the studio. I did test this quite extensively beforehand, which is unusual for me. I normally shoot it straight out of the box. But because this had been tuned to a better spec, I thought I would test the results with different pellets, etc. It did favour H&N pellets, settling on the Barracuda 8s, and in this case it didn't much like the JSBs or the QIS pellets either. The other point of interest was also the fact that the barrel does have quite a lot of protection oils inside and also benefited from a good clean beforehand. Either way, the results were quite pleasing, and with practice and getting used to the gun, I think it will improve. Cost-wise is the next thing. This comes with one magazine, a starter scope, fill probe and orange modded, and will set you back £550 UK. But I would add a decent scope. I believe Vector are going to be doing a package deal. I started out by saying I liked the look of this Spirit X, and I still do. I like the finish to it, and I like the power level now too. With familiarity, I think you could prove to be a reasonably accurate tool as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's review. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, and feel free to share and click the alarm notification bell. There is Airgun Factory to check out on Facebook, the AAR On Air website for merch, news, competitions and much more, the AAR Green Air project, which so many of you have gotten involved with, and for that we are very, very grateful. And these have been a few of the names of people who have helped support us so far. A big thank you, of course, to Vector Air for their help getting hold of this week's gun, and of course all their help tuning it and setting it up to its higher potential. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe and shoot safe, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Without this cold, it will be much better. Thanks for your patience. Bye for now. It's pretty.